So, Danny, we haven't spoken to you since the end of last season, so I suppose the first question I have to ask you is, how was your summer?
I had a little bit of time off with the family, which was nice, but other than that, I pretty much worked all the way through. Had, I think, three to 4 weeks where I was in 2 or 3 times a week, at least, working with Jack and Bob. And just hard work. I was pretty much almost ready to play at the end of the season. I think if we'd have snuck in the playoffs, I might have made a squad or two. So it's just a case of just making sure I was as fit as possible come the start of pre-season. And then once I had the couple of weeks off, came back in again for another week, and then just made sure I was ready to hit the ground running when I come in. Yeah,
because I know there was a period throughout the summer where you were coming in by yourself and just training to make sure you did have that edge. Can you confirm you are fully fit now?
Yeah, I definitely confirm I'm fully fit. Like I said, I've taken part in all the pre-season games so far, which has been great. Completed a 90 minutes, which is always a good milestone for every player to complete throughout the duration of pre-season in the build-up to the first game. And still a couple of games left, and hopefully I can get as many minutes in those games and be fit and ready to go on August the 4th.
I'm sure we'll chat a little bit about the games later, but in terms of the pre-season training, the sessions, how have you been finding those? I know you've only just come off the training ground now.
Yeah, I mean, they're tough. Everyone knows the weather's been hot, for the last 3 or 4 weeks constant, so it's been tough for the lads out there day in, day out. But I think that's only aided, our fitness and moulded us and being ready for the start of the season.
And if we talk about the games now, so we started off in Ireland with the Cork City friendly. We've spoken before about the first big tackle. You certainly didn't shy away from it in that game. I think it was about 15 minutes when you went in for a real crunching challenge. Talk us through what was going through your head when you went in for that.
Yeah, it wasn't something that I was in my mind, before the start of that game, but it was a sort of a scenario that sort of just presented itself, really. I think I knew I was in that split-second favourite to win the tackle, so I just slowed down ever so slightly to make it more of a 50-50. And then thankfully they came through it no problem and came out with the ball as well. So that was a nice little weight off the shoulders a little bit, because I know people look at that kind of thing when the player comes back from a long-term injury. And I was really happy to come through that and then complete that 45 minutes with no problems.
And then you spent the rest of the week over there training, and also there would have been benefits in terms of the bonding with the squad. How was the rest of the week in Ireland?
Yeah, we had a really great week. Like I said, with 4 or 5 new players, it's always important, I think, to get that time away where you're all pretty much in each other's pockets and do everything together. And you learn a lot about people when you spend that amount of time together. And I think if you grow those friendships with the teammates, you're more likely to go that extra yard, I think, for your teammate who's next to you. I think that makes a major difference, going forward, and I think that's the big difference between teams, that have success and that don't.
And then back in England, the other games you've played haven't just been promoted to the National League, League 2 Stevenage, League 2 Swindon. These haven't been easy games for you, have they?
No, yeah, the Havant one was particularly hard, I think, given the conditions, obviously the same for both teams, but I think we'd had pretty much 10 days straight where we've been working. We travelled back the day before, but I know that we didn't, as a team, we didn't play too great on the day. I know we got the win eventually, but I think the second half team, they played pretty well. They were fresh and did well for us.
A couple of pre-season friendlies left, but it doesn't seem like it's too long until the real thing starts. What are your hopes and expectations for the season ahead?
Well, I think the good thing is we've kept the real core nucleus of the squad that got us to 8th last season, and we've got a good few additions, I think, that have really going to add good value to the squad in key areas as well. So I think there's no reason why we can't go 1 or 2 better. I think more consistency. The managers said to us quite a bit, we lost 20 games last year, which is quite a lot of games to lose. I think if we can eradicate that, and obviously lose a lot less games, improve our away form. I think we lost more games away, and be more solid as a team and as a unit, and get more clean sheets. And from those solid foundations, we've got the players in attack that are always going to nick us goals, whether that's on the counter attack or something drops to us in the box. We've got those players that are going to get us goals, and we need goals from obviously other areas. That's been well documented as well. We can't always rely on Brett, to get us 25 plus goals a season. We need them from other places, and I think at the moment, we've got a good blend. And as you've seen in pre-season so far, the goals have come from all over.
And obviously, you'll be going into the season with full fitness. You're now sort of at the end of this journey that you've been on with your injury. I was wondering, at the time it happened, you got a lot of advice from fellow pros who had been through what you've been through. Now that you've experienced it, I was wondering what advice you would give to anybody who suffers the same thing.
That's a really good question. I mean, I think it's definitely important to speak to others that have gone through the same thing. I know I mentioned before, players like Jack Watmar was really helpful to me. He knew, the journey that I was going to have to go through mentally, and the dark hours of training by yourself in the gyms, in the pool, and eventually on the grass by yourself. And if you can try to maintain a positive mindset from the start, it's a massive difference. I know, and I spoke to players who have had, dark times throughout the process of their rehabilitation, where they would go to the, extremes of questioning. I mean, I think everyone goes through a spell where they question, will they ever get back to where they were before they got injured? But to the extremes of wanting to be in dark rooms by themselves. But I think I was able to have a positive mindset from the start. But it wasn't just myself. That was the team I have around me, my wife, my kids as well. Were always a welcome distraction and put things into perspective a little bit. And then when coming into work, there's a great group of lads here that always lifting your spirits, always asking how you are, and as well as the medical team as well, because they were all together, and I was a part of it just as much, even though I wasn't playing on the Saturday, but I was just as much part of it throughout the second half of the season when I wasn't playing. So that was the main thing for me. If you can have a positive mindset from the start, then I say you're almost halfway there.
Danny, it's been fantastic to see you back out there. All the best for the new season.
Cheers, mate.